I wonder if anyone feels the same way. I just seen an article published by IGN, which is a perfect example of what can ruin games. Alright, I'm gonna let them cook on this. I'm not too sure what they are, I'm not too sure what they're referring to here. I do think I seen the IGN article, and I will pull that up soon. But, yeah, I'm gonna let them cook on this. Let's see what they're saying here. I love Space Marine 2. I binged it largely, all characters level 25, etc., etc. I have got my money's worth, and whilst we wait for new updates, I go play other games in between. Alright, yeah, that's perfectly fine. I mean, so basically how I approach not getting burnt out in the game is basically, I've done this since I started my YouTube channel pretty much, is, like, I'll have the games that I'm playing, and, I have objectives, like, for Space Marine 2, like, for example, like, pretty much every day, I'll go in and, I'll pick a weapon to level up, and then I'll pick a lethal run or something. Like, I'll play the game, I'll play some operations for about, like, 2 to 3 hours a day, something like that. And then when, after I've done everything that I planned on doing, I don't push myself any further. Like, I don't, if I leveled up, like, the Oculus, for example, I wouldn't go and then level up another weapon the same day. I would pick that weapon for the next day, basically, so I don't get burnt out. And even at, like, once I'm done all that, let's say I still have energy for some gaming, I'll play something a little bit more casual and not on the, not on the scope of Space Marine. It's just something, it's basically what I consider my off-record game. Games that I play to just, just kind of wound down a bit for the end of the day. And that game basically this month was for Horizon Forbidden West, which was really good. It's just it's like, I don't know, it's basically Elden Ring. It's like an open world game, and you fight like robot dinosaurs. But I try not to sweat in that. Like, I basically just hop on it for like 30 minutes or something just to, just to enjoy some gaming without having to worry about like a lethal run or anything like that. So basically I'll sweat on Space Marine 2, and then, I'll have something to take it down for the night to just to enjoy some gaming. And then that still gives me stuff to do the next day in Space Marine 2 that I look forward on doing. So it's not like I'm forcing myself to level up every weapon in one day, because yeah, that's how you get burnt out. So basically I limit myself essentially, but I also try to find other things to enjoy, like other games and stuff. So basically I'm getting, basically I'm not forcing myself to just play the game too much just to level up stuff. Like, I'll leave it for the next day. Why not? I mean, keep in mind, for Elden Ring, I didn't even make a Pyromancer character until the DLC dropped. So that just gave me something to do then, and it helped me continue playing Elden Ring for a long time. That said, I have over 1,000 hours in that game, so I'm not even halfway there for Space Marine 2. I think, yeah, I'm getting there. I'm like around 400 hours, around it. But okay, let's get back into how this IGN article's ruined games. Do I have an issue with the time it is taking to make content? No, the fact that they told us what to expect in a roadmap, and we still have people complaining. The article in question claims the community complaints about lack of content, and I know there are plenty of people that are content. That's so weird. That is so weird. Content and content is whatever. With the amount of content we are getting, and those that aren't. Yes. Yes. Of course, there's definitely honestly, I would call it a vocal minority that is complaining about the lack of content. That is exactly how, pretty much, what I've read into my comments. There's definitely some people with some valid complaints, for sure. But why do articles paint it like a majority of the community is upset? Alright, so, yeah, look, here's the thing. There is definitely a handful of people who have some good criticisms for this game. But then there's also basically a section of the criticism that comes from people who are just, they're probably burnt out on the game because they just keep doing the same thing over and over again. And that is pretty much a rough spot to be in. You have to find ways to mix it up. I know not everyone wants to play PvP, but I still suggest trying out PvP on one of the objective modes, not the team deathmatch, and see if you enjoy it, and maybe give it 1 or 2 tries. you just really have to at least attempt to do that just so you can say that you did. I do see a handful of comments saying, you know, that there's not a lot of content in this game, but they also don't want to play PvP. And then they also, like, maybe don't even want to play the campaign. So then it's like, all right, well, at that point, yeah, there's probably not a lot of content for you when you, like, objectively try to refuse to play certain parts of the content. But yeah, that said, there's definitely like some criticism about the content drop for the game. I just think this month specifically was rough because we didn't get an update at all this month. And that definitely probably soured a few people who weren't 100% like educated on the roadmap, I would say. Because there's probably people who didn't even see the updated roadmap, you know? So, I don't know. I would definitely call it this person says, this is a common trend of a vocal minority that are upset because they shout louder. People take them as representing all of us. Okay. Holy cow, man. I don't understand how the word salad ended up like that, but this is a common trend. A vocal minority are upset, but because they shout louder, people take them as representing all of us. Oh, okay, there we go. Holy cow. Sorry about that. But yes. I can kind of agree with this. Well, I guess this point is saying the IGN article is doing this to make everyone sound like they're complaining about the lack of content. And I think there's a good and bad thing about this. I have an example here where the vocal... There was a vocal minority talking about how to switch the icons on the helmet. And I just want to bring this up because even though there's people complaining about the content or whatever, you cannot deny that these devs are listening. And I'm going to show that right here. Saber knows what's up. See, right here, they have the beaky helm and you can remove the icon on it. Boom. This is something that people suggested for I guess the Death Watch helmet. I'm not too sure. It's like, you know, the newest helmet with like the mouth, I guess. I'm not too sure what they call it. I'm sorry, I don't use that helmet that often. I have it on one character. And I have it on my, like, tactical. It's pretty sick, though. I have it, like, it's patterned down the middle and has black on one side and gold on the other. I think it's very cool looking. But yeah, you can't change the icon for that helmet, and people were kind of upset about it. And then, yes, now we have the beaky helm, and Saber allowed you to remove the icon. Hopefully we can do that with the other helmet as well. So you cannot deny that these devs are listening. Say what you want about the lack of content, but these devs are listening, and they are going to, you know, make sure they do something about that. Not to mention supply and demand. So they do have an incentive to put out some content. Please stop telling us how bored you are of the game. Boo-hoo, you burned yourself out playing every day nonstop and now you're bored of a game that just came out a few months ago. Go play something else. Why do you feel the need to come here to complain that you milked the game dry and now you're desperate for more content? I love this game, but I just can't keep doing the same operations. Then don't play them. Go play something else. It's okay, you don't need to announce it on Reddit. I promise it's okay to play another game without virtue singling. Saber already gave us the timeline for upcoming content, but you ding-dong somehow keep missing that and keep crying about the same stuff over and over and over and over. My brothers and I are more than happy to do Inferno for the 1000th time and continue purging the galaxy of heretics and Xenos alike, while you whine about first world problems. Boo-hoo me, I'm not getting everything I want right this second, little port. Yeah, sheesh. As this is one of those harsh truths, there's definitely some comments that are like this, 100%. I do my best to just ignore them, but sometimes it gets a little tad bit annoying to hear the same thing over and over again. And yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with this guy. Like, if you're bored of the game, definitely go find something else to play. Like, I'm playing, again, I'm just gonna mention this, I'm playing other games as I'm playing Space Marine 2, which really helps me not get burnt out. And you got to find different things to do in this game, man. If it's at least not PvP, you definitely need to level up like a new weapon or something if you want. But yeah, there's ways to mix it up. For the record, I'm not saying all this as a fully maxed out level 25 in all classes, 300 plus hours player. So I'd love another person to try to tell me, well, it's different when you are maxed out. I'm saying this, as a maxed out player. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah. So yeah, definitely some of the complaints can go a little out of control. And then the other post was basically linking these sector of complaints to the IGN article that apparently tries to paint us all as content complainers, I guess. So maybe the spiral of, basically people complaining about the content and then people complaining about the content. Maybe that makes everyone a bit louder when it comes to the content criticism. Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 publisher addresses community complaints about lack of content, reveals what's coming down the line. All right, so I feel like this is more about the basically the format of this title. Addresses community complaints about a lack of... I don't know. You can definitely read it like they are trying to imply everyone is complaining. You can definitely read it that way. But, like, the thing about articles like this, even though it's, like, a tad bit clickbaity, but who honestly really cares? The thing is here, I did read the article, I at least skimmed it. There's a lot of information here that we already talked about, so I'm not going through the entire article at all. However, there's definitely... They definitely point out that there is a growing frustration over a lack of content. And I just, look, as annoying as articles like this can be, that example of the Beaky helmet is a good example of where complaints can reach the ears of devs and we get good stuff from it. So, as much as I want to say people need to calm down with their, with their content complaints or whatever, that effectively is going to get us a little bit more content. I don't want to like say it's for sure, but like effectively it could definitely, effectively we can see the demand for new content in this format, basically. Like right here, this article is published because there's an outcry of a lack of content, which gets to Games Workshop, it gets to the devs and everyone who's working on the game. I think they should be genuinely happy that there are that many players who are interested in continuing to play the game. So yeah, it's kind of on them. It's kind of on them. Like, honestly, it's their responsibility to deliver on that. So even though we do have an annoying like article like this that tries to paint everybody who plays the game as a complainer, that's still going to put us in a position to get new content. And I think that's why, I think Saber and, the dev team, they're definitely noticing that. A lot of comments here are evading the real question. Not going to argue with the obvious IGN is bad, but like it or not, OP has a good question. I would say 50-50. I'm a huge fan of 40K and I enjoyed everything about this game has to offer so far. But doing the same missions over and over again ended up being pretty dull for me. This game has a potential that any other game lacks of. Devs have said they were taking it slow because of hotfixes and whatnot, which is good. But boy, I would love to do something else in this game already. Then, dude, look. Playing the same missions over and over again. Yeah, look, man, I get it. You don't want to play PvP. But the thing is here, the fact that you're not enjoying the game kind of just... It just seems like you don't like the game, man. If you don't like PvP, you don't like a section of the game. Okay. And then he's saying, doing the same missions over and over again, pretty dull to me. Well, here's the thing. The way you put it out like that makes it seem like you are literally doing the same mission over and over again the same way. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's comments like this. Like, for example, we have seen somebody talk about how they're tired of seeing, people complain about the game, or they're tired of seeing people be bored of it. And then they mention how many hours they had in it. And then they mention how many classes they maxed out. See, stuff like that goes a long way, because then I read this comment here and I just can't help but think this person's playing one class and just grinding, that one class over and over again, playing the same build, not trying anything out. And also doesn't play PvP because he just mentions the missions. Like, sure, man. He says, I would say 50-50. I'm a huge fan of 40K and I enjoyed everything about the game has offered so far. All right. Well, if you think it's dull to grind the same mission over and over again, and if it's also not your responsibility to mix it up to try to find new things to try, and then you also completely avoid PvP, which does have something to offer, I could definitely make a video on PvP and why it's good. And I've done that before, but here's the thing. If you simply are just not interested in playing PvP, then that's on you. You have to take responsibility for this. It's so weird that these people, they will point at the game like this game has potential that any other game lacks. Devs said they were taking it slow, but boy, I would love to do something else in this game already. Then do something else in this game. Like, what? Holy cow, try out PvP. Oh no, I don't want to try out PvP. This one time in Fortnite, somebody called me a bad name, and all PvP games are bad now. It's like, dude, that sort of energy is exactly what makes me less sympathetic of this type of criticism. It's if this guy literally had a couple sentences right after this saying, hey, I maxed out all the classes and I tried PvP, I didn't like it. It doesn't serve his point better because he's trying to crap on the game. And if you mention that if you mention that you leveled up all your classes, you open yourself up to somebody responding with, "Hey, it sounds like you played the game already. Maybe take a break." And they don't want to hear that. Essentially, they don't want to hear that because then it puts the responsibility on them for how they're feeling, which is actually how it works. You know, basically, in contrast to what they're trying to do here, is put their feelings as a responsibility for the devs, which isn't healthy. It's just not. I'm sorry. I get it. You know, they're definitely going to add more games, more content to the game, and then we're also going to get horde mode. So everyone's getting a little less patient for the good stuff down the line. Like, that's pretty much how I actually see this. Is, you know, I don't want to criticize this comment too much, but I'm just pointing out that, yes, maybe a little bit of patience can go a far way, but I get it. We're all excited for more content. But, man, you definitely need to take a little bit responsibility on how you feel and how you can adjust that, basically. Like, that's just how it is. You can't continue doing the same thing over and over again and then blame the devs for it. That's crazy. Holy cow. And yeah, for those people who don't want to play PvP, all right, that's on you also. You're making the choice, man. Like, PvP's fun. It's actually pretty casual. You just really have to play with your team and just, you know, make sure you hit your shots. And yeah, it's fun. Melee combat in PvP is super fun. But yeah, like, I don't know, man. This is why I'm kind of on the fence about this subject, about the complaints going too far and IGN saying everyone's complaining about the game and stuff like that, is because, like, a lot of these comments are just, like, you know, they're undercooked, basically. They're lukewarm. Like, seriously, like, I get it. Like, holy cow, this guy's playing the same missions over and over again. But he's not playing PvP. He's not mentioning how many classes he leveled up. He's not mentioning, like, you know, the weapons. He's not mentioning anything besides the fact, hey, I grinded one mission over and over again. It's like, all right, man, that's on you. that's on you. I know he's probably not saying one mission. And that said, I think this person got their money's worth out of the game. Also, if they level up all the classes, they got their money's worth out of the game. So, I don't know what else to say. Like, I like comments like this because it does put a little pressure on the dev team to deliver content, and I want more content, so I'm happy with that. However, at the same time, I can't just, you know, I can't ignore the fact that criticism like this isn't very, you know, it's not very, what is it? It's not very critical. In the sense where it's like, you're not really pointing out a huge problem with the game. You're pointing out that you can't find any more enjoyment out of the game. That's more on you. The devs already said they're going to add more content, you know? So, I don't know. I would love to do something else in this game already. Then do something else in this game already. You know what I mean? That's crazy. Most players who enjoy the game probably don't even complete every level on Lethal with one character before moving on to other things. Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Lack of content was a valid criticism at launch, and it still is. It doesn't make it a crisis or a bad game. Yeah, I agree. The one thing that makes me push back on the lack of content criticism is just the fact that I know that I got a lot out of the game already. Like, pretty much, you know what I mean? So, it's really hard for me to sympathize with people who are complaining about lack of content when I know they probably aren't playing PvP, which they should definitely try. I don't want to keep repeating myself with this, but like it's always something I need to point out because I have gotten a lot out of PvP, and I'm still looking forward to playing more of it when they, you know, add a new map and stuff. I feel like PvP lack of content criticism goes farther than the PvE lack of content criticism, for sure. But that said, I think, you know, it's such a weird position to be in because it's nice seeing the demand for new content, but then it also is a tad bit, it's a tad bit annoying just to see a lot. You know what I mean? And then the more you see it, the more you see certain patterns of people not mentioning how much they actually play or what they actually do in the game. It's just game's bad because I leveled up my character to level 25. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just, I don't really understand it. But hey, you know what? It's the vocal minority like that puts us in a position where Games Workshop and Saber, they're noticing the demand for the game. And yeah, they probably want to put more content into the game just because of that. It takes a while. It shouldn't be this way. But like with games like Darktide and even like No Man's Sky, like it's been going on for a while where games will release and people won't be 100% satisfied with it. And then the devs still continue working on it, and then they deliver great content. So, I don't know. It's one thing to complain about the lack of content, but it's another thing to just, like, say the game's bad because you leveled up one character to level 25. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Some of these players just need a little bit more patience, 100%. But it's like, we're pretty much arguing in this video, is the lack of patience, either hurting or helping us? Let me know in the comments how you feel about this. I know I'm going all over the place in this video. But it's definitely just gotten on my nerves a little bit, seeing the same stuff about content. And then, like, there's definitely people who are playing PvP who are, like me, like the only complaint I really have for lack of content is for PvP. So, like, I also have a lack of content complaint. You know what I mean? But with that said, I've found other things to do, and I'm enjoying my time in the game still. So, I don't know. That's why it's kind of hard for me to sympathize 100% with people who are complaining about lack of content. The devs are interested in maintaining a healthy and a happy player base and selling DLC, and are under no delusions that they will have a slowly dwindling player population over time. But if they play their cards right, each update will bump concurrent players and lure more people to buy the game. Yep. IGN wants to publish stories that people will read. Popular game is in danger. Might get some people interested in the game to read the story. The journalists trawl social media like Reddit for ideas of what to talk about, and they might even use this kind of sensational headline to write a story that doesn't feel like it robs your time after reading it, and instead makes you feel informed or like what you want to talk about, share it with other people. The rest of the article talks about like content drops, so I do think they have a point here. Sounds like IGN are doing a relatively good job as it's working. Do we need to care? Not really. The devs might find negative publicity a little irritating, but it won't be anything new. There are always some voices shouting into the void online, so long as their business is doing well and they are having positive discussions with investors, publishers, partners, and the negativity isn't reaching levels where those decision makers would pay attention. And then it's all smooth sailing. Yeah, look, I agree. I just think I agree with this. I think the criticisms, the more accurate they are, the better. It's basically what I'm trying to say. This entire video. Because of basically the icon helmet situation where, we have people complaining about a cosmetic. It seems, pretty straightforward. It doesn't seem to be that big of a problem, but it seems to be something easy enough to fix, and the devs fixed it. So I just think, some of these complaints need to give the devs either some time or, just give them a little bit more appreciation on how they're actually able to point down what the accurate criticisms of the game are, and then they are fixing it. That said, are zoanthrope beam attacks still annoying? Yes. Also, I gotta admit, I wish I could make an entire video on this, but I just don't know enough yet. I was doing an easy mode run on an operation recently because I was doing, I was trying to get the Astartes clip, and yeah, I wasn't trying to sweat through just to get a clip on a Cadian lieutenant. But that said, I ran into a zoanthrope. I ran into a zoanthrope, and since it was easy mode, is the fact that we have a weirder dodge window in the higher difficulties something that makes the death beam worse? You know what I mean? I'm starting to think the death beam might be bugged. Or maybe the dodge windows are bugged, maybe in Ruthless or Lethal. I doubt that, but it's weird how it's so much easier to dodge the death beam in like minimal and average than it is on Ruthless and Lethal, and that makes sense. But I'm getting sidetracked. But yeah, the death beam is definitely something they should fix. Any outrage you post online about the article just feeds IGN engagement, even if it is indirect. You might need to recalibrate your Geller fields, brother. The warp is full of dangers without them. I have no idea what he's saying. But yeah, this is actually a great comment that doesn't get enough. Like, this comment was made, it was made an hour ago. Never mind, we're good. This game was already low on content on release. 1 evening for the campaign, 1 evening for the operations. PvP is not worth playing. Like, dude, oh my god, this is exactly the type of, basically the type of critical approach that I just don't take seriously. This person is saying 1 evening for the campaign, 1 evening for the operations. The only way that's like 100% possible if this person is playing on easy mode. Basically. 1 evening for the campaign isn't like undoable on like a higher difficulty. I get it. But that is still basically just rushing everything the game has to offer and then complaining about it. Like, it's seriously, like, for the way I did the campaign is 1 campaign mission every day, and then I also play some PvP. The PvP, that's not worth playing, by the way. And the operations, I did the same thing. And then as soon as I completed the operations, then I started to focus on leveling a character. And PvP not worth playing is just not true. The thing about PvP is people will leave games too early, and that's where the curb stomping comes in. Blowouts in the game happen because people leave the game too early. And you can definitely get a great comeback going on a PvP match, and it feels good. I've came back from 100-point deficits before, and it feels good to complete those for sure. And that makes PvP worth playing to me. PvP is very fun. Games have to be, competitive for it to be fun. And that's kind of an issue. Like, leaving a PvP match is definitely an issue. But there's still a good amount of people playing PvP. So I just can't take this comment at face value and think this guy has a point. He doesn't. He's effectively ruining the experience for him because he's rushing through the content on easy mode and then complaining about the game's lack of content, even though it's his responsibility to find enjoyment out of the game that he bought. You know what I mean? It's like, it's weird. He's basically walking down the hallways and taking it face value and not thinking at all. Like, as soon as he completes every operation, he's like, wow, I did everything in the game because I've seen every hallway. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what the game is. If you didn't like fighting Xenos or like Chaos, or if you didn't like the gameplay loop at all, I just don't think you like the game, dude. Like, it has nothing. This is, again, another comment where it says more about the person playing than it does about the actual game. That's a whopping 6 hours of content for a whopping $60. This person's metric is 6 hours of content from Space Marine 2. That is not accurate. This is not honest criticism at all. For reference, I have 150 hours in Baldur's Gate 3. I have basically double that in Space Marine 2. What am I doing that is so different than what this guy's doing when the one thing I will admit, there's probably 100 hours that you can shave off that's pure PvP. But that said, I'm leveling up classes and operations. I'm trying out different perks. I'm trying out different weapons. I'm basically just overall trying out different builds to see what's fun. And guess what? I really enjoy the combat in this game. I genuinely think the combat in this game is the best combat loop we have available at the moment. That's why everyone's excited about Horde mode. I could not point my fingers at a game where people are actually excited about Horde mode. But in this game, I'm super excited about it because I know Horde mode is going to slap. It is going to be very fun because the amount of times, there's at least a handful of times after an operation where I feel like I can keep going, and I want to keep going. I want to just endlessly fight Tyranids until, somebody goes down, and that sounds super fun because it's those sweaty moments that makes the game so much more fun, is when it's like, holy cow, how did we get out of that situation? You're not going to find those moments with 6 hours of gameplay on easy mode.